12 Community Safety Initiative is a community outreach crime prevention program that is committed to ensuring the safety of all individuals within District 4 of Calgary, Alberta. Some of the communities include Forest Lawn, Forest Heights, Dover, and Erin Woods. Today, we're going to talk about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying is willful and repeated harm inflicted through the use of computers, cell phones, and other electronic devices. This can have a lasting impact on both the victim and the aggressor's overall well-being. The Internet. It gives us an easy way to communicate, provides us with convenience and accessibility to information, and has given us a space to explore our identity. Unfortunately, as technology continues to advance and the world shifts to a more online era, cyberbullying is on the rise. Within this short video, we are going to gain insight into why someone might engage in online harassment. To do this, we will dive into psychosocial development, the mind of the bully, the victim, and the power of forgiveness and letting go. We will discuss preventative strategies that are proven to minimize attempted online bullying. Help 12 CSI on our mission to create a society in which a nurturing environment is fostered for young people and the prevalence of cyberbullying is mitigated. And make sure you watch to the end and download a free informational report for a more in-depth look at all the areas we will be addressing in this video and more. 1 in 5 young people have experienced a level of harassment online. 68% of children have gone through online harassment and now are experiencing mental health issues as a result. 42% of LGBTQ youth have experienced cyberbullying. 33% of teenagers have sent explicit images or text to someone else at least once. And victims of cyberbullying are 1.9 times more likely to commit suicide. And offenders are 1.7 times more likely to commit suicide. Cyberbullying dates back to the early 1990s, a time when personal computers became affordable. However, cyberbullying really took off in the early 2000s when smartphones became the latest and greatest trend. It is currently estimated that over 90% of adolescents aged 12 to 17 have access to the internet. The anonymity of the web creates the perfect environment for harassment, intimidation, and bullying without the threat of any repercussions for the aggressor. There are a number of ways that someone could cyberbully. The most common form of cyberbullying reported is name-calling, which can be sexist, racist, or homophobic, depending on the reason for targeting the victim. It is also important to note that sometimes there are no underlying motives for targeting the victim. Other forms of cyberbullying include harassment, exclusion, outing or doxing, trickery, cyberstalking, framing, flaming, denigration, sexting, or video recording, and assault. As we can see, there are many different forms of cyberbullying. And the scary thing is that when a young person is experiencing cyberbullying, they often do not disclose it. Adolescents may not report online harassment because they feel there is no point, reporting it would not help, it takes too much time, someone else would report it, they do not know how to report it, or they fear it will only make things worse for them. Being the victim of cyberbullying can have immense negative effects, including feelings of isolation, humiliation, shame, and embarrassment, which may be another factor in why young people do not report cyberbullying. Oftentimes, victims are bullied for something they are already self-conscious or sensitive of. Therefore, talking about the problem with an adult would require them to talk about their insecurities or highlight their defeat. This is why, for some people, bringing up the incident to an adult is actually far worse than the bullying itself. It is important the reasonings are taken into consideration when attempting to support a young person victimized of cyberbullying. Adolescence is a time of self-exploration, constant change, and the need to fit in. And there are many factors that influence adolescent decision-making. In order to understand the reasoning behind why an adolescent might cyberbully, we must first dive into their psychosocial development. Naturally, adolescents are present-focused thinkers. They are more likely to act impulsively due to an influx of hormones and development of the prefrontal cortex, hence decide what is good for them in the present moment rather than think about the consequences of their actions. A concept called the imaginary audience, which is the tendency to exaggerate others' perceptions, tend to lead adolescents to behave in a way that would please their peers rather than themselves. And as teenagers tend to gravitate towards the cool kids, they subconsciously behave in a way their peers are behaving to feel a sense of purpose. This sense of belonging comes at a cost. Research identifies the link between low self-esteem and the bullying with both the victim and the aggressor. The key is finding out the why, rather than labeling the aggressor as a delinquent or unworthy. Research reports that infrequent relational connection with trusted adults is associated with a 50% increase in odds of harassing others online. Other studies show that many parents do not know that their child is engaging in bullying behaviors or is a victim of cyberbullying. This suggests that adolescents that are lacking relational permanence with their caregivers or other trusted adults are at a greater risk for engaging in online harassment. Adolescent-reported harassment, depressive symptoms, and receiving a failing grade at school are all variables that are related to elevated odds of harassing others online. There are a few preventative strategies that can be useful for protecting vulnerable young people online. Modeling empathy by utilizing empathy education programs has been proven successful in reducing cyberbullying. Perspective shifting is a tool which can be taught to the aggressor as a way to help them understand the victim's perspective. For example, saying things like, "That could be your sibling or your best friend. Would you want someone to speak to them like that?" Utilizing empathy training as a tool can be challenging, therefore it is crucial to personalize the seriousness and real consequences of cyberbullying. For example, suicide and legal implications. By helping instill empathy, you are assisting the aggressor in realizing that if the consequences can happen to a peer, it can also happen to them. In addition to engaging in empathy exercises, modeling can also influence the perspective shift. By modeling healthy relationships, trust, and humility, adolescents will begin to learn what is acceptable and what is not. It is important that the trusted adult watch for warning signs that an adolescent may be a victim of cyberbullying. Some warning signs include a shift in eating habits, a change in sleep pattern, withdrawal from friends and family, a decline in academic performance. Are they visibly upset after being online? Has their mental state changed, or have they made any statements about suicidal ideation? If one or more of these signs are demonstrated, it is important to have an open conversation with that adolescent. The acronym LOVE is a useful tool for trusted adults to use when assisting an adolescent who is experiencing cyberbullying. L stands for listen without judgment. O stands for offer support and advocacy. V stands for validate the youth's feelings. And E stands for explore resources together. It is important for the adult to keep in mind that by coming from a place of support rather than blame or anger is essential for helping someone who is experiencing cyberbullying, either in the form of the bully or the victim. Other crucial online preventative strategies include do not give out or share personal information online. For example, address, phone number, family names, dates of birth. Never open messages from someone that you don't know. do not follow or accept a friend request from someone that you don't know. Forgiveness is primarily an action we take within ourselves and has the power to bring great peace within. When one decides to not forgive, there is potential for lifelong impact affecting the whole person spiritually, physically, and psychologically. In addition to noticing the signs of cyberbullying, as the trusted adult, it is our responsibility to enlighten and encourage youth to understand their mental processes and the benefits of forgiving those who have wronged them. Much like empathy modeling, by also modeling forgiveness, we can help young people understand that forgiveness sets them free from the intrusive thoughts that flow their mind. After all, the healing process won't begin until they learn to forgive themselves and the aggressor. We hope that with this video you were able to gain some insight into the reasons why a young person might cyberbully, preventative strategies, and ultimately the power of forgiveness. Our hope is to create a society in which a nurturing environment is fostered for young people and the prevalence of cyberbullying is mitigated. If you are wanting to explore this information further, linked below is the free informational report as well as the Cyberbullying Awareness Activity Booklet. And for more information on how to keep safe within your community, subscribe to our channel 12 Community Safety Initiative.